Welcome to our second webinar on, oh gosh, it has a funny name and I can't remember. I gotta make sure I have the official name, The Magic of Text Expanders. Todd here is gonna be showing us all about that magic. But first, I'm Madeline. I use she, her pronouns. I will be hosting here. So anytime you have questions and you put them in the chat, I'll be the one who reads them aloud, and I'll try to keep Todd on track as best I can. We'll see how well I do with that. Tech BFF is the business that we both work at. We are tech support for wedding pros of all kinds. If it has a screen or uses a keyboard and it's part of your business, we find ways to make it better for you. And this is the magic of text expanders is just one way that we'll be doing that today. So every month we have a different topic for our webinars. It can be one specific app. It can be something more like today where text expanders can be used in all kinds of ways. The best part is you can even ask us to do webinars on specific topics you're interested in at weddingtechbff.com/webinars. I'm putting that link in the chat right now as well. That lets you see all our previous webinars and request new ones. Pretty great place. Bookmark that. It's going to save your life at some point. I guarantee it. So Todd's going to stop several times throughout this webinar to ask if anybody has any questions. At any point, though, you can put them in the chat and I'll keep them in my head for when he does ask. And then at the very end, we'll have one last opportunity. With that being said, I'm going to pass it to Todd and he's going to tell us about his magic.
Hey everyone, welcome. And for anyone watching the recording, welcome to you too. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen here and we'll dive right in. First, your obvious first question is going to be, what the heck is a text expander? And so these are apps. They can be on a computer, they can be on a phone, they can be on really any device that has a screen. And they write text for you. So you may have used on a phone before, like if you type OMW, it sort of auto expands to on my way. And you can set those up in your phone. Today, I'm going to be showing you how just to do it on a computer, doing it on different phones, iPhones, Androids and stuff. They all work differently. And I'm specifically going to be showing you on an app called Typinator, which is only available for Mac. So if you're a PC user, Typinator specifically won't work for you, but the principles we talk about can be applied to various text expander apps available for PCs, Macs. If you type text expander in Google, you'll find 100 different options and you can find the one that works best for you. I'm going to be showing you some features that are available across all text expanders, and then I'm going to show you a few that are only available, not only, that are specifically available in Typinator that may or may not be available in other apps. Okay, so just to kind of demonstrate what a text expander is, I've got this one set up where if I type this to that, anywhere in my computer, it can be in my Gmail account. It can be, in this case, I'm going to use Microsoft Word. It can be in a note, literally anywhere on my computer where I type this. I'm going to type it here. So if I type this to that, suddenly it writes this for me. It says, hey there, BFF. I'm happy to see you here at this month's webinar. We're going to have a blast. This message can be as long as you want it to be, but I'll cut it off here. Cheers, Todd. This message just wrote itself, sort of. I wrote it earlier. And then it expanded to that when I typed this to that. So that's a very quick intro to what a text expander is. I like to say it's basically sorcery. In addition to text, I'm gonna be showing you some more advanced things you can do as well. All right, so the first off, before we start talking about how to use a text expander and why you might use a text expander, I want to mention the one thing that you never want to do. You may have noticed that when I typed turn this, this to that, I had dashes between each word, and there's a reason for that. I want to make all of these shortcuts that I write something I will never accidentally write. Because what if this isn't a good example, but what about my name? My full name is Todd Harper. You'll notice that this starts with TH. If I want my name to auto expand to Todd Harper every time I type TH, then I would be having a real hard time writing words that start with TH. Every time I wrote this, it would write Todd Harper is, or Todd Harper is, I guess. So I'll show you what that looks like. If I were to change this to TH, oh, you can see now it's telling me, oh, this conflicts with something else that you have. But if I type T-H, now I can convert my name to T-H. Every time I type T-H, it turns to Todd Harper. There's my name. Okay, so any questions about what a text expander is just off the bat, now that I've shown you those couple of examples? We get kind of technical in this webinar, and I don't want to leave anybody confused before I get on to the next thing.
You're welcome to unmute yourself or put something in the chat and I'll read that for you.
All right. Madeline, stop me if somebody asks a question, and but I'll keep talking. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to set up a new abbreviation. Again, this is specific to Typinator, but all of these text expander apps work in a similar way. So this will be easily applied to another text expander app too. If you do end up liking Typinator after this webinar, I will be sure to show you more information about how to get it. And I'll show you how you can get other text expander apps too. Again, it's a Google search, but awesome. So I want to first talk to you about how to create one of these. So over in on this side here, you're going to see different sets I have. I have a different set up for each of my two businesses. And then I have a set up for our examples today. You can turn these on and off by using these little check marks on the side. And so what this means is when this is off, none of these will auto expand. So TH, if I now type it again, will no longer become Todd Harper because it's turned off. But you can turn them all on. And now if I type it, it's Todd Harper. Okay, so that's creating a set. I usually like to have these, imagine breaking these up into, well, you can see I break it up by businesses. That way, if I'm not in my wedding tech BFF mode, I can turn that off and never accidentally expand things that I don't want to expand. Okay, then we go over to the little plus icon here, and this is where we add a new text expansion. The abbreviation is the thing you want to type in order to make something else appear. So just because I see her name first, I'm going to type, make this Madeline Mahoney. And so I'm going to type M-N, and then down here, I'm going to type her name. Now, when I type M-M anywhere in my computer, it becomes Madeline Mahoney. This is something I might actually leave in existence because I type her name a lot in my daily work. So thanks, Madeline, for the new inspiration.
I had no idea I was starring in this too.
Awesome. Then again, this is a Typinator specific feature that is available in some other text expanders, but not all. So I want to make that clear. Let's go back to TH. This can be either plain text, which is what it is here. You can see it's set as plain text. It can also be formatted text. I'm not going to cover pictures and HTML today because that goes into a whole other slew of stuff, but we're just going to talk about plain text and formatted text. Just to give you an idea of what those mean, plain text means that it's just the words and they are going to adapt to the formatting you have that you're copying to. Wherever you're copying to it, it'll become that formatting. So you can see when I expanded to this font, which is Exxon Regular at 24 points, if I write TH there, it becomes Exxon Regular at 24 points. If I write it here where there's the Cambria font, a 12-point font, and I write TH, it writes it in that. Same here, this is bolded font. And so Todd Harper becomes bolded there. It adheres to whatever the formatting is in your destination. Whereas if it's formatted, and actually I'm going to use another one for this. Let's go back to this to that. If it's formatted, say I want, there we're in formatted texting. I can change this to be like, let's make it really big. So I'm gonna do a bunch of Command plus and make this really, really big. I'm gonna make long be bold and underlined. And then I'm gonna make, we're going to have a blast be a different font. So I'll choose, say, the noteworthy font, which is noteworthy. It's kind of an obvious different font. Now, if I type this to that, you'll notice it doesn't adhere to this destination formatting anymore. It conforms to what we set it in over here. So that is the difference between formatted text and plain text. I'm not going to be flip-flopping between the two very much in this webinar. We're mostly going to be working with plain text, but I wanted to make sure you see that that is an option if you ever wanted to kind of expand to a particular type of format. Any questions about the difference between formatted and plain text? Okay. So just to kind of give you an example of some basic expansions, just to get your brain rolling on what maybe you would want to use this text expanders for. Things like TFM, expanding to thanks for meeting. I can't wait till next time. So TFM meaning thanks for meeting. You want these things to be memorable for you, because if you forget them, that sort of, and you have to spend time looking for them, that sort of negates the point of having a text expander. It would take me more time to look up TFM than to just type out, thanks for meeting with me. I can't wait till next time. So you want to be careful about how many of these you have. You want to make sure they're memorable and they actually save you time and not the other way around. Another one I use commonly is if I type two these @ symbols, it automatically writes my email address for me. Because typing Todd@weddingtechbff.com over and over every day, it takes a lot of my time, but typing @ very simple. I also do, you can see here, I have heart. This is just a heart emoji. So anytime I have a heart, an emoji that I commonly use, I always have a text expander that starts with E, has a dash, and then is the thing that I want to write. So in this case, heart, and it becomes a heart. Rather than having to go into, in a Mac, I can pull up my emoji viewer and I can search for a heart, but that takes me more time than I would just to type heart. Done. Okay. Another one I like to use, and this will become an example that we come back to later in this presentation, but see you sat simple. It just says see you this Saturday. Now, this is not one I would actually recommend using. See you sat simple is difficult to remember and isn't actually much shorter than see you this Saturday. So this is purely for example. Please don't actually use that one in your text expanders. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is, again, this is a Typinator specific feature as opposed to text expanders in general. But there are these things that say whole word and case does not matter. So if I were to select whole word, what that basically means is it's going to wait until I write, until it knows that that's what I intended to write. So if whole word is selected and I write heart, notice it doesn't expand yet, but if I press space, then it expands. It knows that, okay, you don't mean to write hearted, you want to write heart, and that's when we expand. So that's what the whole word does. and case does not matter, can be changed to case must match. So say you had an E heart like that, and you said case must match. If I just write E heart, nothing happens. But if I write E heart, then it converts. So just a couple of features there to pay attention to so that you don't get confused when you're trying to set this up for yourself. Okay, let's talk about just some basics. A lot of these text expander apps, in addition to just expanding text, that seems redundant, but in addition to just creating a longer text based on a shorter text, they can also do some sort of like date and time calculations. So I'm going to show you today's date, simple. Here I've set up just some WW means the weekday, NN means the month. Don't ask me why. I don't know why Typinator thinks NN stands for month. They're a German company, so it may have to do with that. And then D is for day. But if you can't remember these, that's fine. They also have a drop down here that says, here's the day. You can choose Friday. You can choose September or 9, however you want that formatted. And then when I go over here and I type today's date, simple. It says today is Tuesday, November 16th. So now I don't have to look up at the date. I can just write today's date and anywhere in my computer, and it'll just type it out. Same thing with times. If I write time stamp, it's 12:50. Great, we're 20 minutes into this webinar. And so, if you're ever taking meeting minutes or something, often you might want to have like a timestamp for when something was said. Why spend time writing out 12:50 p.m. first looking at the the time and then writing it out when you can just write today's date. Though I wrote today's date simple. In real life, I would just make this say today's date so that it's quick and simple, or quick and short. Okay, any questions so far?
We do have one question in the chat asking if expanders can also have links, for example, to Calendly.
Oh, totally. So are you talking about like, it could have like a static link to your Calendly page. So say if we wanted to write www.calendly.com/mypage, and then what we can do is convert this into formatted text and highlight that thing and add a link. So there we go. It's calendly.com/mypage. You could say, like, click here to schedule a meeting with me. Now, it seems silly to have this in the today's date expander, but oh my gosh, I'm having such a hard time even typing. Now it says today is Tuesday, November 16th. Click here to schedule a meeting with me. And when I did that, it opened this page. Obviously, it was a fake link, so it's not actually set up to do that. But yeah, you can totally do that with a text expander. Did that answer the question?
We got a thumbs up.
Perfect. Awesome. Now I'm going to do something. We're going to start diving into something more complicated. So buckle up. The rest of the presentation is like stuff that's going to make your head explode. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. I am so excited about text expanders. They save me so much time typing out thing after thing after thing. And I want them to save you time too. But you can't use them if you are lost and confused. So I want to make sure you leave this webinar understanding and clear on how these work. So the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is input fields. These are really the bread and butter of text expander, of advanced text expanders. Again, this is something you'll find in Typinator, and you will find it in other text expanders, but not all of them. But personally, I wouldn't get a text expander that doesn't have the option to have input fields. So let me show you what those are. I'm going to look for input fields, simple here. You can see I've written here, hi, partner A and partner B. I am so looking forward to your wedding on this wedding date. I haven't actually written any like the names of the couple or what their wedding date is. I've just written these little sort of code looking things that say partner A, partner B, and wedding date. You don't have to memorize how these are formatted. You can also just come in again to this little, I don't know, thing in brackets, and you can go to input field. And it'll let you write a new one here. So you can name the input field. We'll talk about what these things are in a second. But then you say, okay, and now you can see it's created that new input field for me. Okay, so what is an input field? Well, when I type out, let's just put it here. I'm going to put input fields simple. You can see this little thing popped up at the top of my screen, and it's asking, what is partner A's name? What is partner B's name? What is their wedding date? So our fictional partners are Lauren, Sean, and their wedding date, let's say it's November 5th. When I say, okay, now this has auto-completed a text that says, hi, Lauren and Sean, I'm so looking forward to your wedding on November 5th. And so I've created this sort of automated message that required very little thought on my part. Now, of course, this isn't a very long message to write, so it probably would have been faster just to type this out than to do what I went through with the text expander. So this is, just think of this as an example. Again, you don't want to replace your processes, your short text with text expanders because you don't want to waste time. You want these to help you save time. So that's a simple example. We'll be looking at some more advanced ones in a little bit. I'm going to clean up our page here just because this is a lot to look at. And then, okay. Yeah, so now that you understand what a text field is and what it does, let's look at some of what those options are that we saw before. So when we're creating a new text field, we can choose a default value. What that means is, okay. Remember, if I say, yes, I want a default value and I want it to be John, then when I put this in, input fields simple, John is automatically going to populate as partner B. You could also leave these blank. So if I did that, and then I go and I write input fields simple, now partner B always is blank to start. Personally, when I'm talking about couples names, I prefer to, if you leave no default value, it'll always show the last thing you typed. So if you saw before, it had auto-populated Lauren and Seth. That's because the last time I used this expander, or any expander that had a partner A and a partner B, I used Lauren and Seth. And so it remembers the last one you entered. I personally, for partner names, I like that because I will probably be sending a lot of emails about the same couple, all at once. So it's nice just to have their names auto-populated in those fields. And having a default value for them doesn't make sense because you won't be working with the same two people always over and over again. So I'd leave that blank for couple names, but you can set it if you know, like, there's a default thing that you usually do. And we'll look at some examples of that in a minute. And then assign to variable. we're going to hold off on talking about that, but do remember it for later. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. There are also some other options here. Alternatives. This is a really good one. I like using this. Input fields. Okay, I'm going to look at this next thing, input fields medium. And I'll show you why I like the alternatives. Imagine catering style. The choices can be buffet, plated, stations. You probably have ideas of what some other ones might be as well. But this lets me choose one of these catering styles. And then when one of them are chosen, I also have this additional expanded text. So buffet just says buffet, stations just says stations, but plated says plated. So you will need to ask your guests about their menu selections at least 3 weeks prior to the wedding day. So let's look at what happens when I expand this. This is input fields medium. Now, partner A, we're going to say Ashley and sure, Sean. Again, you can see since it didn't have a default value, it defaulted to the last thing I typed there. Their wedding date, November 5th. And we're going to say they're doing a plated meal. And it's asking whether whether the ceremony venue and the reception venue are the same place. I'm going to say they're not at the same place. They are somewhere different. And now when I press OK, this text automatically writes itself to say, oh, this keeps being bolded. I'm going to unbold everything. Hi, Ashley and Sean. I'm so looking forward to your wedding on November 5th. We're familiar with that. We've used it in the simple version. But now it also says, remember, your catering style is plated, so you will need to ask your guests about their menu selections at least 3 weeks prior to their wedding day. Since your ceremony and reception are in 2 different locations, we'll need to work out the logistics for how we're moving you and your guests between the venues. That last a little bit, sorry, I didn't talk about it. In addition to text fields alternatives, there's also this option, which just has a yes and a no result. So if I had typed, yes, the ceremony venue and reception venue are at the same place, this is what would have popped up. But since I said they're not at the same place, this is what popped up. So any questions about that? Again, it gets pretty advanced pretty quick. Is anybody completely lost? Okay, good. We're doing better than I thought we would be. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about using variables. Variables are a little difficult to describe, but basically what we're doing is we are assigning a value. So say we knew we were going to use the couple's name over and over and over again in an email. Rather than writing partner A and partner B every single time, we can create a variable that's just called couple. And then anytime we call couple, it automatically calls partner A and partner B. So this is what that looks like. It's scary to look at first, but don't be too scared. I promise we'll explain it pretty well. So here you can see that I'm assigning the word couple to mean partner A and partner B. Oops, I just moved that around. And I'm assigning a variable called wedding date to be the wedding date. Catering style to be the catering style. So these ones are kind of like less important to do. You can always just copy the catering style. Anyway, venues, same. So you can remember we had that are the venues the same. So now instead of my email looking like this, which sort of is complicated in the email, I just have all this complicated stuff at the top, and the email is really simple. It says, hi couple, I'm so looking forward to your wedding on wedding date. Remember, your catering style is catering style. Venues, same. Couple, I seriously can't wait. So I've used couple twice. So then rather than having to write, hi partner A and partner B, partner A and partner B, I seriously can't wait, I'm just writing couple. Very easy. Now when I put input fields advanced, it's going to ask me all the same questions it asked me before. Ashley, Sean, November 5th, plated. Are these at the same place? I say, okay. And it writes the same exact email. I added this little bit at the end just to demonstrate that we're repeating Ashley and Sean in 2 different places. But then we could also repeat anything. You know, we can write in the medium version here, if we wanted to put the ceremony venue and the reception venue in the same place 2 times in this email for any reason, we'd have to copy this whole block of text over and over again every time we want to use it. If we define a variable at the start, we can just come down and type venues same, venues same. And now if I write input fields advanced, asks the same questions, and I have now repeated this information twice at the end of this text. So without having to copy this whole wall of text here. So a little bit cleaner looking at the end of the email. All the complicated coding stuff is at the top. Okay, now have I lost anybody? Oh my gosh, you're all amazing. Okay, wonderful. Now I'm going to show you a little other trick. How many times has anybody here, by a show of hands, maybe digital hands, whatever, ever had to like copy and paste so much information that you kind of get lost? You're like, wait, what have I copied? What am I pasting? Does anybody, am I the only one who has that problem? Oh, okay. Other people are saying that too. Good. So this is going to help you for sure. So we can create, in addition to just typing out text, we can also save text to a virtual clipboard. And so you can see here, I have clip 2 and clip 3 and ST clip 2 and ST clip 3. What these are going to do, ST clip 2 means store clip 2. And so we have this little, again, we just talked about variables. This is a variable. We're telling it that the variable named clip 2 equals the clip. And the clip is just whatever's currently on my clipboard. So to kind of like show you an example of this, I'm just going to highlight this since your ceremony and reception are in 2 different locations. And I'm going to say edit, copy. Now it's on my clipboard. If I type somewhere in my computer, st clip 2, it deletes that text that I just typed. And then it stores whatever was on my clipboard into this clip 2. So now, anytime, it could be a year from now, it could be in 5 minutes, it can be whenever. Clip 2, as long as this program is open, clip 2 always has that stored in it. So now if I type clip 2, there it is, since your ceremony and reception are in 2 different places. And then, and I also have a clip 3. We could have clip up, unlimited. It can be 500 different clips. If you can remember that the 3rd thing on my clipboard is this, then you're golden. So yeah, and then you can say like, okay, I also want to copy this. So I'm going to say Command or Control C for this. And now clip 2 still has this bit stored in it. So if I say clip 2 and then Command paste, I've basically created a virtual clipboard in addition to my regular clipboard. All right, does that make sense? Awesome. Don't be shy to ask questions if you have them. If you have them, probably other people have them too. So, and I know this is kind of a lot of information. So don't be shy. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about using functions. So I've got this, this abbreviation set up that is all caps. So it's going to take uppercase text. So the functions that are available in Typinator, again, these will be different in different text expander apps, but several text expander apps have similar features. But say I want to type out something that's all uppercase. There are a couple of ways we can do this. First off, right now, it's just going to take the word text and make it uppercase. That's not very useful for us. So if I say all caps, now I have text in all caps. You could say like, this is a sentence and I'm yelling it out loud. And now if anytime I type all caps, that's what pops up in all caps. This is kind of inefficient because we're rarely going to be needing to capitalize the same sentence over and over and over again. But where this gets really helpful is if, say, we want to call another one of our abbreviations. One thing we can do is go to Control, expand other abbreviation. And now say I want to make this clip 2. So remember when we copied that other sentence that's still in clip 2. Now if I say all caps, it's taking that sentence that we wrote earlier and pasting it in all caps. So you can get some pretty interesting and advanced things. You can like copy whatever you want off the internet. Or maybe if we just say clip, and remember clip just means what's on the clipboard. And actually, so I'm going to go to built-in functions and, clipboard, text from clipboard. So this just says uppercase clip. Now, anything I copy off of the internet, so give me something to Google. Anybody? No takers.
So much pressure.
Huh?
So much pressure.
I know.
Ballrooms that seat 500 people.
Ballrooms that seat 500 people. Excellent. So I'm just going to go to this Brides of North Texas website that popped up and say, for some reason, I need to copy this paragraph. I'm going to copy it first by saying edit, copy. And then now we have this sentence or paragraph in our memory. And I'm going to go back to my Word document here. And I'm just going to say all, oh my gosh, what did we call it? All caps. Yeah. So now I've copied this paragraph into all caps here. Now, you might be thinking, well, Todd, you keep talking about this all caps thing, and I don't actually need, this isn't really a great utility for me. I don't capitalize many things. This is just one of many built-in functions. So you can kind of play around with these and see like what's useful for you and when and why. Personally, I would never just have an abbreviation that uses all caps and does nothing else. But I might use the uppercase function in the context of another abbreviation. So let me, yeah, okay, I have everybody still? Okay, so now we're going to use, yeah, okay. And a couple of these other functions that I really like and I find to be super useful for me are choose by index and case. And so let me show you what those do. So remember when we talked about see you Saturday? And it was just see you this Saturday. And I said, don't ever use this because that doesn't actually save you much time typing. We're going to do something a little more advanced. So in this see you sat advanced thing, what we can do is I have taken a variable called day delta. And what day delta is, this is actually something programmed into, this isn't something I set myself. This is something programmed into Typinator. So date time calculation, if I say plus or minus a day, that comes up with day delta. Okay, so let me show you what, okay, so yeah, day delta is just something to say like, take today, it's Tuesday, and shift it. So today plus 3, for example, would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So today plus 3 is Friday. That's what day delta is it adds or subtracts days from today. Now, we also have this, this thing that's called choose. And again, the full name of it is choose by index. We're going to take, and DM1 stands for, it just is the day in the week. So we're teaching Typinator that I want the beginning of the week to be on Monday, and Monday is 1. You can also say Monday is 0, Sunday is 1, and Sunday is 0. Personally, I like to say the week starts on Monday, and that is the first day of the week. So 1 is Monday, 2 is Tuesday, 3 is Wednesday, and so on. Okay. Choose by index. Here, if I get a fresh choose by index, it's saying take the thing. So in this case, the thing is the day of the week. Today is Tuesday, so today is 2. But this could also just be, you know, whatever you want it to be. This could be 5. In this case, I'm taking take 2 because it's Tuesday. And then what you're saying is then we're going to add text. So this might be hello, and this might be no, and yes, and so on until we get to okay. The 5th thing in this list, 3, 4, 5, is hate. So if I were to type out this expression, CU sat advanced, it's going to choose the 5th thing in the list, which is hate. So now hate appears. But let's get rid of that. And that's just to show you how the choose by index works. So it's now gonna, we know that it's choosing the today's date, which is 2. So it's gonna choose the 2nd thing in this list, which is 4. Okay, that doesn't make sense to you until I type out CU sat advanced. Now it says see you this Saturday, November 20th. Because I said it's 2, but it's the 2nd thing in the list, which is 4. It knows that Saturday, I wrote all these values to say basically how far away is Saturday from today. So it knows that Saturday is 4 days away. And then I took the month and the day, and we shifted the day delta. So now the day delta is no longer 2, the day delta is 4. So 4 days from now is November 20th. It knows to convert today to November 20th and then to display it. Okay. Whew, that was a difficult one. Does this make sense? Or is there anybody who just says, no, this makes no sense, Todd? What are you talking about? I feel like there's no in between. You either get this or you don't, and that's okay. Okay, great. Now I don't like leaving just numbers. I like to have like 20 if at the end. So how can I have it automatically add 20 if? And if I just type over here 20 if, then if the date ends up being the 1st, it's going to say 1th. It's November 1st, and that doesn't make sense. So we need another kind of function in order to add the appropriate ending to a number. So I'm going to go back to, we did today's date simple. Yeah, we did today's date simple earlier, and then we added this Calendly link. But I'm going to go to today's date advanced. And I've added what are called cases. Now, cases are similar to choose by index, but they have a slightly different purpose. So what we're going to do is we take the value, and the value could be anything. I mean, it could be a word, it can be a number, if we say 5. And then what we're saying is if this word, if the value is equal to 1, then do this thing. Write, please. But if the value is equal to 5, then write nothing. And we can keep going. We can do an unlimited number of things. And then we want a default result. And so I'm just going to write default here. Okay. So now when I run this, can you tell what is going to run? Is it going to say, well, please, nothing, or default? Anybody take a guess? If we know that the value is 5 and 1 triggers please, 5 triggers nothing, and then there's a default. Okay, let's just try it and see. Today's date advanced. It says nothing because 5 displays nothing and our value is 5. But if we were, say, to change the value to 4 and write that same thing, only 1 and 5 have an assigned value. 4 will trigger the default response, which in our case is default. So now if I type today's date advanced, it says default. Okay, that's all an important prerequisite to understand what happens next. The reason I've taken and said today is the weekday. So today is Tuesday, the month, November 16th in this case. And then what I'm going to do is add a case function that uses D as the value, which means it uses 16 or whatever today's date is as the value. And if it's 1, it's going to assign st. If it's 2, it's going to assign nd. If it's 3, erd, and so on. And the default value is going to be th, because most dates end with th. Okay. And then I also added all of these here. These are the same thing. It's case, but for the day of the year, case for the week number of the year, and you'll see what all that does in a second. So if we say today's date advanced, today is Tuesday, November 16th. It knows to put the th there. It's the 320th day of the 47th week of the year, 2021. So you can see how we can get pretty complicated and in the sort of logic of how this works. So just remember case goes down the list and says like, does this match the value? Does this match the value? Oh, none of them match the value. I'll use the default value. Whew, okay, any questions here? Okay, great. We're going to talk a little bit about a calculator function. So I've created this little thing that says cost calc. Since we're all business owners, there might be math involved in how we operate our business. And sometimes I don't like to do math, so maybe it's easier to make the computer do it for me. If we were to create these, remember fields, we have input fields. And then we do a little calculation. The number here tells Typinator, hey, this is going to be, I need you to calculate something. And then you write what you want to calculate. And then in this case, I'm using a multiplication symbol. Here's another thing I want to calculate. And then after the colon here, it says 2. That just means at the end of the result, add 2 decimal digits. Because I'm going to be dealing with a price, a cost of something. And so it makes sense to me to add 2 decimals at the end. So we know it's like 19.99 or whatever it is. If I go ahead and just type in cost calc, it's going to ask me what's the cost of the product and what's the quantity. Here, the last thing I typed was $5.99 and the quantity was 10. So I'm just going to press OK to that. It's going to know to take these values and calculate them and know your total is $59.90. I don't have to do any math. I just have to type cost calc and type in the values and it does the math. We can get a lot more complicated than that, but that's the simple kind of starter. I won't go into more detail on that because it will just, I'm not good at explaining math. And so we'd all be lost and I don't want us all to be lost. Okay, but just know that there is a calculator function and you can do some pretty neat things there. Okay, now I'm going to show you something that blows my mind every time I use it. And what I'm going to do is go to my website to show you how it works. So if I go to my website to our contact form, in addition to just typing text and putting it on a piece of paper somewhere or a note in your computer, we can also program Typinator and there are many text expanders that do this kind of thing. But we can, let me make sure I'm using the right one, contact test, it's up here. Okay. We can program keystrokes into these auto expanders. So in this case, I have this already set up to fill out the contact form on my website using a combination of tabs, returns, down arrows. So if I go over to my contact form and I just type contact test, it goes and it fills all this out. Oh, it should not be putting these on. I must have broken this. It didn't do it when I was testing yesterday. But anyway, so it's just filled out this form for me, including choosing from the drop-down menus. If I wanted to, I could also just have it pressed send for me. And all I have to do is put contact test and it fills out the form and submits it for me. Obviously, this only is going to be applicable when you're filling in the same form over and over again. So I would not recommend setting up a new text expander for every form you're going to fill out, because you'd spend more time doing this than you would just going and filling it out. But there could be some applications if you find yourself filling out the same type of form over and over and over again, and it always has the same information. This might be a good opportunity to do that. And this is why it was entering those symbols. There should only be one of these in each. Okay, so just know that's possible. If you ever find yourself like filling out the same form over and over again with the same information, you can just create a bot for it instead. I also want to take a note to show you that I am including my @ abbreviation in this thing. Typinator is great and lets you include other abbreviations in other abbreviations, which is pretty neat. And you could do this as much as you want. The reason you might do it, one is, say my email address changed and I no longer use todd@weddingtechbff.com. I wouldn't have to go change it in all of the places it's used throughout my abbreviations here. Say it's used in like 10 different abbreviations. Rather than go and change it, I only have to go change the source one that's at this one. And then if I ever change this, everywhere else it's used, like in contact test, it'll automatically update there as well. We can get really granular about this. I created this one that's at full, and you can see it takes Todd at second half. At second half is at business name dot at end. At business name is Wedding Tech BFF, and at end is .com. So if I were to type at full back in our trusty Word document, at dash full, it changes to Todd at Wedding Tech BFF. Well, oh, .com, because I don't need to include .com here. The dot is in this version here. But then basically what I'm getting at is you can include granular parts and just include them in other higher level things. I don't need to remember this necessarily, but say someday I change weddingtechbff.com to weddingtechbff.net. If I just come here and change net, if I'm using this in other places, it'll update everywhere rather than me having to go change .com to .net in all of my abbreviations. Okay. That's a little more granular than you need to know for the purpose of this webinar, but I just thought I'd explain it anyway. Okay, perfect. Then explain keystrokes. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to go into some extra advanced stuff. But I do want to show you what if there's like a ton of fields, input fields. Here we go. So many fields. Say I have 15 fields in an expander that I've set up. I can go and type so many fields simple. And you can see it just like throws a bunch at me and says like, here's fields 1 through 15. Decide what they're going to say. It's just a wall of text. It's kind of a lot to look at. So rather than doing that, I have this set up that has some other information. And what these are is if we go to input field, in addition to text field alternatives and options, which I showed you, and calculations, which are those math problems, we also have these heading, description, and separator line options that we can input. So this is a heading, this is a description, and then this here is a separator line. And I'll show you why those are helpful to have. So many fields advanced. Now, rather than a huge like wall of just 15 fields, I've broken it up. So it tells me these fields require a particular kind of information that's distinct from what's being collected in 11 through 15. So I just break it up a little bit, and that is nice on the eyes. So it helps you kind of figure it, make sense of what these fields are. If you are like me, some of these text expanders can have well over 50 fields, and that's just a lot to look at. So it's good to break it up. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, now before we end, I just want to show you a couple of examples of real life practical examples that I use in my own wedding planning business. So let's go over to my email. And we're just going to type out some that I actually use. So say, I guess I should show you how it's set up first. We're going to start with client wedding week. So I have something set up that says, hey, it's your wedding week. Congrats on making it here. In just a few short days, you'll be saying I do. This is an email I send to every single client. And there's some things that are personalized, but for the most part, it's the same thing. I send this the Monday before their wedding. Why type out this entire email every single time when I can just type client wedding week? It asks me the the name of the couple. It's Ashley and Sean. It asks me whether they're doing place cards or escort cards. In this case, I'll say place cards. And then it asks me the placing cards starting chair. So, and I'll explain what that means in a second. But in this case, I'm going to say the east wall, furthest from the north and south rooms, the bar, etc. When I type OK, it writes this email. Hi, Ashley and Sean, it's your wedding week. Congrats on making it here. In just a few short days, you'll be saying I do. Blah, 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 blah. It goes through a bunch of stuff. The third point here says, since you're using place cards for your wedding, which it knows because I told it place cards instead of escort cards, here's information. My team will place them out on the tables in the order they're given to us, starting with the chair closest to the east wall. Again, this is the instructions I typed in that field. The chair closest to the east wall, furthest from the north-south rooms, bar, etc., and going clockwise. And then the rest of this is included in all of these form emails. So, but yeah, and then all of this just included just automatically. I just wrote an email in what, 4 seconds? That's this big long email. So that's pretty neat. Okay, another real life application is this party final plan. I want to show this one to you because it's formatted text instead of plain text. The reason this is important is I've bolded some things and I want to make sure that they appear bolded in the email as well. You can see I've also created a variable for couple. I've done that because I'm going to use their names multiple times in the email and I don't want to write out partner A and partner B every time. So let's just highlight all of this and delete it and say a party final plan. It's going to ask me the couple's names, Ashley and Sean, the day and date of their wedding. So let's say Saturday, October 5th. Time of the rehearsal, 6 p.m. Location of rehearsal, we'll say like Bally's Casino. I was just there last week in Vegas for wedding MBA. Time of the rehearsal dinner is going to be 7 p.m. List of those making speeches. I know that it's going to be Sean, Mary, and Judith. And then 2 days before the wedding here, and actually I guess I'm going to change this to Friday. 2 days before the wedding, it's a Saturday, wedding is Thursday. So it's asked me these different fields. I press OK. And now I've got this lovely email written that includes special custom information, like I'm the wedding manager for Ashley and Sean's wedding this Friday, October 5th. Reminder for those of you attending the rehearsal, will begin promptly at 6 p.m. at Bally's Casino. Dinner will follow at 7 p.m. Sean, Mary, and Judith, if you're reading your toasts, feel free to bring a copy so I can have it and give it to you. Again, just a really quick way to write a long email, which is super helpful. Okay, the last example I want to show you is probably the most complex because it includes that auto tabbing feature I showed you. This is going to be vendor plan draft. You can see I've created a bunch of variables up here at the top. I've got some formatted text below. The wonderful thing about this is rather than starting in the body of the email, I'm going to start in the to line. So this is something that in my real life business, I send every single vendor basically identical email to share with them the draft of the wedding day plan with the timeline. So if I type vendor plan draft, it's going to ask me the vendor name. I'm going to say it's Madeline. And her email address is madeline@weddingtechbff.com. Again, since I've already entered most of this information in other places, it auto-populates here, but it's Ashley and Sean for Friday, November 5th. I said it was a Saturday wedding, so I'll change it to that. Okay, watch what happens here. We wrote this in the to line. It's going to automatically fill out the to line, the subject line, and the body of the email. Hands-free. There it is. Madeline Mahoney, Ashley and Sean's plan draft. Hi, Madeline. All I have to do now is attach the file and press send. If I didn't have a file to attach, I can also teach Typinator to press send for me. So I could just type that a couple of things and take my hands off the computer and that email gets sent out with all the stuff I need that vendor to know. Cool. Those are all real life examples of how I use text expanders. There are so many ways you can use them, so many more opportunities. So the best way I can say to get started with this is just to dive in, start using it, and see how it works for you. I always come up with new ideas based for text expanding. I would just advise that anytime you feel like, oh, I write this email or I write the same thing over and over again, that's a good opportunity to use a text expander. And since they have so many automated features, you can make them still customized, personalized emails and messages and it still saves you a bunch of time. So TFM, thanks for meeting with me. I can't wait until next time. Any questions? That is all. That is my presentation for today. I know that was a lot.
I feel like at the end there, it was like in math class when everyone would say, well, when are we going to use this? And you actually had good examples. Unlike math class.
Unlike math class. Yeah. Awesome.
And questions can just be, can you repeat one of the 1,000 things that you just said? Doesn't have to be something you come up on your own.
All right. Hearing none. You got it, Amber. And I know this was a lot to take in. Find a text expander that you like. You can just Google text expander for Mac, text expander for PC, whatever you use. There are literally hundreds of options out there. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. Typinator specifically costs about $30, but I think of all the text expanders I've used, it's absolutely my favorite. It's just got so many rich features and it works no matter where you are on your computer. So highly recommended if you're a Mac user. If you're a PC user, a similar one is called Fastkeys, Fastkeys. And Fastkeys is pretty similar to Typinator, what I was just using. So look into them and let us know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to nerd out talking about these things. So if you get one and you're like, oh, I'm having trouble setting it up, give us a call. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks for coming.